avec tous les amis jusqu'au paradis. Policiers ou menuisiers jusqu'au paradis. Militaires ou fonctionnaires jusqu'au paradis. Président ou paysan jusqu'au paradis.
Which has for the time to 11 minutes past 7 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. It's been a while since we've been gone. We've been gone for a while, but apparently all is fine as far as the technical quality of our production is concerned. Perhaps reason why you see us back on the airwaves. And so if you're just tuning into this Apex One Radio, if this is the first time you tuning in, then know that we broadcast 24/7 from the state of Ohio, precisely from the chief city called Columbus. We are in the United States of America. Welcome to this evening segment of broadcast, reaching you live this day, the 29th of March 2020. All right, so we want to use this opportunity to thank you so much for your love, your fidelity. I understand we've been away from you for a while due to technical issues. We've been working tooth and nail. Our software engineer Maxel Ajit has not had sleep within the past 2 weeks trying to put everything in place, and thank God, fortunately, we are back on the airwave. And so during our absence, so much water flew under the bridge. So much has been happening. It's just like the world has turned around, and business is just not usual anymore. Needless to emphasize what is going on, what you and I know. The world has been brought to its knees because of a current health scare which people least expected, but of course which has come and is facing us directly into our faces. And so how does the world deal with this is the issue. That is the biggest question. That is the $1 million question. All right. And so while we were away, we were also observing what was going around. There's been a lot happening, a lot of talks going on, a lot of communication. People have been confused. The virus has been spreading as well, and of course every single person has been touched by this current health scare. Now, Apex One Radio, as one of its regalian missions, also has the responsibility to inform and communicate on this current crisis. So we are back on the airwaves, and we promise to give you updates on the current situation, to provide the necessary education via our experts, and of course to contribute our own little quarter to battle, to fight against this current health scare. And hopefully it's going to be a thing of the past. And so beginning today, we are going to introduce a new program, which I must say is temporary. It's not a program we wish to last long. We just wish to have this program survive or stay on as long as this problem is around. We hope that this program is not going to last long, because our hope is that this current health scare becomes a thing of the past. And so today we are introducing a show called Kick Back COVID-19. Take it again. Kick Back COVID-19. So on Kick Back COVID-19, we will be giving you updates on the coronavirus. We will be talking to health experts. We will be talking particularly to experts who or we're talking to virologists, people who are specialized in the study of viruses. We'll be talking to them. We'll be talking to communicators. We'll be talking to politicians. We will be talking to the man on the street and just how he's been affected by this current health care. So we'll be talking to virtually everybody. We're going to touch virtually everything surrounding this current health scare. And our goal is to contribute our own quarter to its fight, which the entire world is currently engaged in. And so that is how we're going to do it. Kick Back COVID-19 is going to be every day, beginning today, and we don't hope that this show is going to last long, simply because we are expecting this problem to become history soonest. All right, so that's how we're going to do it. And we're going to expect you to be part of this program. It is not an Apex One radio project. It's a project for the entire community. And so we will be listening to your views, your suggestions, your advices, and virtually everything you think you can contribute to this project, which will go a long way to fight the coronavirus, which is, of course, one of the most difficult moments the world has gone through these past couple of weeks. And like I said, the world has been grounded. The world has actually been put on its knees. Nobody is spared of this whole thing. Be you king, I don't know whoever you are, whatever you are in the community, whatever social status you belong to, you are not free from this current health crisis. So together, we just have to fight it. Nobody should be left, nobody should be left aside. Right, and so thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on Apex One Radio. We are going to have a very short break for a few seconds, then we'll begin the first edition of Kickback COVID-19. Do not go away. This is Apex One Radio.
Salomé, Véronique, jusqu'au paradis. Catherine et Patricia, jusqu'au paradis.
Paradis, beautiful piece of music there by Otuma Selem. Music goes out for the time to 18 minutes past 7 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. I guess we are set for the first edition of Kickback COVID-19 on Apex One Radio. And so if you are ready, Maxel Adit, who is my producer in Switzerland, precisely in the HO city of Valsuch, is ready. The entire Apex One Radio team is ready as well. Kickback COVID-19, first edition. Let's go.
Wow. Why, shorty?
What's that, MD?
I'm cool as baby.
You feeling that? You got your gloves on?
Alright, we good.
What's happening with it, baby?
I'm cooling, dog. I'm trying to stay safe. I see, green juice.
Trying to build that immune system, you heard?
Look, you know the mayor said we supposed to be inside right now.
Yo, the mayor?
We not even supposed to.
Shorty, what's good, y'all? Who that is?
I don't know that boy.
How y'all doing, man?
Hold on, put your mask.
Hey, man, what's good with y'all? Hey, what's happening? Hey, what's going on? You know what? You forgot some inside, huh?
Where y'all going?
Stay right here, stay right here, stay right here.
Man, no, we'll be right back. I got some questions.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Bust it. I got them squirts for the low. I got them squirts for the low. Corona. D1. Look. Where Italy at? USA at? Canada, China. We don't play that. Just that Corona clap. Just that Corona clap. I said I'm trying to stay safe, would it please believe? But that corona make it hard for a player to breathe. Don't wash your hands, you might catch it, would it, and you stuck. Right now, them tickets to Jamaica only $15. I'm trying to quarantine myself, I'm staying inside. The NBA canceled on me, man, I'm feeling deprived. I'm out of toilet paper, but they ain't got none in the stove. Man, that corona, wow, you can't wipe your butt no more. And ain't no more school for students, it's just classes online. This shit ain't about to have their graduation on FaceTime. Man, they trying to cancel God. I can't go in the church. Got hand sanitizer on deck, and I'm selling squirts. My concert's getting canceled, man. I'm really so droll. But if you start coughing around me, I'm walking clean out the door. I'm telling all my people, stay home. It's real and real. Don't play with that coronavirus, man. Cool out and just chill. Where France at? Where Spain at? Africa, Philippines, we don't play that. Just that corona clap. Just that corona clap. Where Japan at? Where Brazil at? Mexico, let them know we don't feel that. Just that corona clap. Just that corona clap. Man, y'all be safe, man. Y'all stay inside, dog. Don't let that corona get you, dog. Yeah, man. It's your boy D1. Mission Vision all day.
This is in fact a crisis. Make no mistake about that. This is real. And we're asking everyone to pay full attention.
Why, shorty?
All right, so nothing has ever put the world on its knees like the coronavirus. When in late January of this year, Apex One were to run a show on COVID-19, hardly did we conjecture it was going to get this rough. The disease has just been about 8 weeks old in China. It had just been about 8 weeks old in China at that time when we were doing that show. And everyone didn't think, it was going to become this serious. The death toll at that time was not as rapid as it is today. And so on that day when we're doing the radio show on coronavirus, that is in late January, the disease had just taken away slightly over 560 lives. And I remember this commentator actually wondered, allowed to the researcher who was on the show, the researcher who is specialized in virology, who was on the show that day, I actually wondered to him if there was reason not to be scared of an eventual rise in the death toll. Well, those speculations faded when then, with the hope that the situation was not going to get bad, let alone worse. Behold, that turned out to be the case. And today the world is gripped really hard by what is gradually going into the annals as the worst health crisis ever. Take it again, the worst health crisis ever. And of course, it is. Well, weeks gone, the entire world is trapped in the COVID-19 scare with untold suffering. It's no longer news, therefore, that there has been a major crackdown everywhere around the world. The economy has been affected, politics has been affected, business affected, social life affected, cultural values, behaviors, education. The list is just too long. And as we speak, the world is grounded. Nothing is happening anymore except the stiff battles against the disease that is causing panic around the world, and of course claiming lives, as you and I know. Governments have joined the health wing of the United Nations, that is the World Health Organization, as a matter of a response to pin down measures, and new ones are being delivered on a daily basis depending on the gravity of the spread of the virus. Stores are empty, schools closed down, workplaces deserted except for essential workers, the transportation system completely grounded, and of course the world has been brought down to its knees. Well, tonight and onwards, like I mentioned earlier on, Kickback COVID-19 will be bringing you updates on the crisis. Plus, we look into everything that surrounds the coronavirus. We will be talking to our reporters who are spread across the globe. We'll be talking to our team members in the United States of America and those in Columbus. We will be speaking with experts, especially those specialized in virology. We'll be talking to other health practitioners, healthcare workers, politicians, economic operators, and the general public, because as you know, everyone is involved, everyone is concerned, everyone is affected. So we would be looking at so many topics on this, and of course we will make our own contribution to accentuate the eradication of this pandemic. But mark you, will be laying emphasis on preventive measures, because there is no cure as at now. There is no vaccine. Well, we'll come back to that. But the best way to handle this is to stop its spread. That's the best way to handle it. If it doesn't spread, then it wouldn't happen. So the earlier we stop its spread, the better. So we'll be laying emphasis on preventive measures of COVID-19. Tonight, in this first edition of the show, we will be looking at the latest news. We will talk with our man who has been following the developments, Ocon. He's been following up the development on a daily, not daily, but hourly basis. We'll be talking to some politicians as well, some local politicians who are very concerned because they need to have a healthy constituency for elections to happen, or for them to come into office and of course be able to work. We shall also look at the situation in Africa's biggest economy. I'm talking about Nigeria. How is Nigeria and Nigerians responding to COVID-19? We'll look at all of that in this maiden edition of Kickback COVID-19. All right, I'll be right back with you. Let's listen to some music, then the show will continue thereafter.
The bad news is that everyone is a potential victim, but the good news is that everyone is a potential solution. Sensitize the masses to sanitize, keep a social distance and quarantine. Stop!
The coronavirus is sweeping over mankind.
Everybody must be alert. It's a global pandemic we can never take for granted. Ilamutu must be alert. It's a matter of life we can never take for granted. Discipline and personal hygiene, and make sure you regularly wash your hands. Keep a distance from everyone. Report anything like a symptom. Serious fever is a symptom. Dry cough is a symptom. Walkway tamala is a symptom. Itchy eyes and flu is a symptom.
Abasinga bafudde okuwebala kisingako bujjanjaba
It's a global pandemic we can never take for granted. Kila mtu must be alert. It's a matter of life we can never take for granted.
Coronavirus is sweeping over mankind.
Everybody must be alert. That everyone is a potential solution. Sensitize the masses to sanitize. Keep a social distance and quarantine. Stop.
The coronavirus is sweeping over mankind.
Everybody must be alert. It's a global pandemic we can never take for granted.
This is Apex One Radio. We are broadcasting from the United States of America. You're listening to the first edition of Kickback COVID-19. Kickback COVID-19 is a daily show that gives you updates on the current health crisis the world is going through. The show has a lifespan. It's going to end on the day the world is told that the virus has been eradicated. We hope that is going to happen very soon. We don't expect to have this program run for so long because that would literally translate to the fact that the virus is going to stay around, which is what nobody wants. It's been terrible. People are losing their lives. The virus is claiming lives and so on and so forth. Well, let's just look at the latest. A lot has been going on. Virtually every 30 minutes there is something new about the coronavirus. Okon Penyong has been looking at what is going on around the world, and he now joins us from the east side of Columbus for the freshest information on coronavirus. Okon, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Okon. All right, so apparently we lost him. Hopefully
I'm here.
He'll be back. Okay, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Apologies.
All right, Okon, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you, sir?
And so you've been looking at the latest developments. We understand news about coronavirus, news about COVID-19 gets updated, as a matter of minutes. It's not even by day, but by minutes. Every minute there's something new about coronavirus. So you've been looking at all of that. What is the latest?
All right, so the latest is President Trump was just on TV not so long ago, and he actually extended the U.S. social distancing until April 30th. Everybody in the U.S. were mandated to stay at home, school-related, business-related. If you're an essential worker in the business aspect, you're allowed to go to work, but it has to be in a strict time frame. There's a curfew for it. So he extended that to April 30th, and one of the reasons why, because the U.S. is actually leading a number of confirmed cases. Now it's actually more than 120,000 cases confirmed, and over and then that's over 120,000 cases, and then more than 3,300 cases of death altogether globally. And then it's more than 700,000 cases globally. So the number of cases that spoke over the last 3 or 4 months. So every major countries, major capital states, they have taken extreme measure to keep everybody safe as much as possible globally.
How is his communication schedule on this issue? Does he come out on a daily basis, or how many times does he come out in a day?
He has, just like the governor of Ohio, where we live. Governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, gives a press conference every 2 o'clock every day. Trump does the same thing. And today, one thing about the Trump administration that I will condone, I will give them credit for, they have actually established a great task force. One of the task force is by Dr. Anthony Fauci. He's been nominated by every presidential that I've come to, that has been part of my life since the 1984. So he's the president of the National Institute of Allergy and Infection Disease. So he's one leading the Trump administration task force. And one of the good things about him, he's been very punctual in giving updates. He's appeared on every single network. He's not a biased person. So he's the one, like, literally, if any news reporter or any major sports show, he's even been on ESPN as well. So he's the one that actually who's giving an exact replica of what's going on, the numbers of cases, and how people should prevent themselves from, obviously contaminating the virus itself. So yes, to answer your question, Trump has been giving daily briefing, but let me give kudos to the task force, which is led by the Vice President Mike Pence. So he's the one leading the task force, and they're doing an incredible job. They could do a better job, but it's coming along from about 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay, this is a little bit away from COVID-19, but it should also have to do with COVID-19. Has this current situation that causes the president to give a press briefing every blessed day affected other sectors? We know there is quite a lot on his table. Do we see Trump addressing other issues, or he's just focused on COVID-19 within the past 2 weeks?
In every administration, they have certain individuals who are responsible for certain sections. So he's having them focus on those departments. But I think right now it's all end on deck, because COVID-19 is affecting our schools, our business, our way of life, the economy. Even the Dow Jones has dropped a couple of times. Mm-hmm. So this situation is affecting every single department in the United States, either in the military or in the workforce. So this is a situation that affects all platforms, even the medical situation, the medical staff as well. They're not having enough PPE, enough resources needed to be able to handle as many cases of coming in. And obviously in the world news, every single country are taking the same route as well. Most recently, Moscow, which is the capital of Russia, the mayor there actually shut down the entire city for a couple of days or a couple of months because of the COVID. And then in Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari also issue a shutdown in the state capital, which is Abuja, and the country's largest city, which is Lagos. So to answer your question, in every single, either this country, United States, or in Canada, Prime Minister Justin, or in other country, every president are taking the incredible measures. There's more that needs to be done, but I don't think they understand or realize the impact that this was going to have globally. So, and one of the things that, when the World Health Organization declared this pandemic issue, that's when, even Trump itself, even the beginning of it, he was like, we're not quite informed or prepared, because we didn't realize it would, the number will be this extraordinary in the United States, unfortunately. So that's the issue that we we're facing right now.
Okon, I want to thank you so much. Just to emphasize that we will have you back this time to look at the situation of Ohio specifically, and also we will look at some figures. So thank you so much, Okon, and I'll be right back with you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, that was our man Okon, who has been on the field. I mean, when I say field, I mean he's been following up progress. He's been following up developments on this crisis, both locally and, of course, globally. He'll be right back with us. And so, like he mentioned, it took the World Health Organization to declare corona virus a global pandemic for the world to sit up. It had started in China as a joke, and many people didn't bother much about it because it had not hit them. But I remember Apex One Radio doing a special show that was sometimes in January this year, and we expressed fears that this virus may eventually become a problem. And today it is, well, hopefully things get really better because, like, as we speak, just nothing is going on. This is Apex One Radio. We're broadcasting from the United States of America. We will have a specialist in viruses join us on the show. He doubles as host of Radio Jagaran on Apex One Radio. Ravi is his name. Shortly he will be joining us. And still to come, we talk to some politicians who have also been facing this crisis within their constituency. They had been preparing to go for elections. In fact, they were on the field campaigning when this unexpected crisis, hit the road and sent everybody back home. Right, let's have some music and we will be right back to continue the show. Mapangala, Samba is his name in that beautiful piece of music there titled Vunja Mifunga, music which has brought the time to 19 minutes to 8 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. If you are just joining us, then you are listening to the Maiden Edition of Kickback COVID-19, which is a show which is dedicated to the fight against what has become the worst ever health crisis the world has experienced. And so we'll be talking to Ravi. Ravi is a researcher in viruses or virology, and of course he has we've had this discussion with him before on Apex One Radio. That was in January of this year when coronavirus had not been declared as a pandemic, a global one, of course, and today it is the case. Now, Ravi comes back to throw more light on viruses again. Ravi, welcome back.
Thank you, Ernest. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Ravi?
I'm doing good. So far, so good.
All right. So far, so good, and hopefully you are staying safe.
Yeah, that's true. That's the urgent need of now that everybody should be safe.
Right. Everybody should be safe. So, Ravi is back on the airwaves so we can talk about the nature of viruses, which I must say it's as complicated as any other complicated thing you can think about. Now, Ravi, first question. Before we get into talking about viruses, did you expect the coronavirus to get this viral at this point in time?
Actually, when it was first outbreak, it was well expected from the perspective of a virologist and from the perspective of an immunologist. It was quite expected that whenever such outbreak happens, then it usually affects lots of people, lots of countries. So somehow it was well expected, but seeing the different histories of different viruses, there has been lots of pandemic and there has been lots of outbreak as such. But this outbreak is really massive, and while looking at the history of previous viruses, we didn't expect this much, but we somehow expected that it would be quite large.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I want us to talk about this virus, which is becoming so complicated, and it is causing everybody to want to learn more about it. It is said that it is a strand of a particular virus which has so many other strands. Can you share more knowledge on that to us?
Yeah. So the initial thing that we need to understand is this coronavirus. It by name itself, it is not new to us. So this coronavirus was known to infect birds and animals with different symptoms such as respiratory symptoms or diarrhea in animals like dogs or mice or cows and beef. But in 1965, this virus was first identified in humans, and from till 1965, since it was identified in human, there was lots of research going on. Until December 2019, 6 different types of coronavirus was detected. So when you say different types, we medically or from the research point of view, you call it strains. So the strains are usually based on what their genetics are. And these 6 type of strains were genetically almost about 80% similar. And having said that, only 20% difference make them separate strains. Out of these 6 coronavirus that were detected before December 2019, 4 of these coronavirus were the common agents for common cold in humans. So anybody who has common cold, if you try to see this coronavirus, you would find 4 different type of strains. But in 2002 and 2003, there was an epidemic called SARS. We all know about SARS, right? And it was one type of coronavirus that caused more than 8,000 infections and about 774 deaths in 37 countries. Again, in 2012, the same coronavirus, they came out with a new different types called MERS in Middle East, and it also caused lots of infections and caused about 858 deaths. But in December 2019, then again there was a new this coronavirus. It came a new coronavirus, and that's where we call them as SARS-CoV-2, or also known as nCoV-19, or the new coronavirus. And this we everybody of us know about its infectivity and severity. So you can say that altogether coronavirus in human, they have 7 different strains, or all these 7 strains are, you can say, the brothers, but this coronavirus or the nCoV-19 is the strongest brother of all.
Ravi is specialized in viruses. He is also host of Radio Jagara Hunapex One Radio. We understand that viruses actually do spread, but not as rapid as coronavirus. Why is the coronavirus this fast?
So whenever you compare this coronavirus, then you need to compare it with a certain standard, right? You cannot compare coronavirus with any other flu types. But when we compare it with the SARS, or also known as COVID-19, we saw that in 8 months there were something about 8,000 total cases with 700 deaths. But in the cases of SARS or the COVID-2, you can see that there are more than 700,000 cases with more than 33,000 deaths all over worldwide in 3 months. So the question is, like, why this virus spreads so efficiently, right? There might be a multiple explanations why this virus spreads so efficiently, but from immunology point of view or from a virology point of view, what I can think of is this virus has a special binding protein called spike protein that we all know about, because if you see the structures, you see lots of spikes on this COVID-19 or this coronavirus, right? So when it infects a human, then usually in the throat or nose or lungs, you have those cells which express a certain type of receptors. That means in the host cells, there is some proteins that can attract these spike proteins. So it has been seen that this spike protein and that human protein, the binding is almost about 10 times more strongly than the previous SARS. Apart from that, there are some other proteins, there are some other substance which attracts this virus, which binds this virus so strongly, and these proteins which are present in our cells are not only present in our nose or our lungs or our throat, but they are also present in different organs like liver, pancreas, or small intestine, or kidney, meaning that this virus can potentially attack several other organs at once. So this might be one reason, but there might be other reasons which aggravate or which add to the spread, just like there has been evidence of community spread, right? And also there has been lots of evidence showing that the patient which are in the window period is usually a period in which the virus enters into your body, but you do not show the sign and symptoms of infection. So in the window period, or in some patient in which you cannot see infections, which you cannot see the symptoms or the mild symptoms, they can also transmit the virus. So there might be a multiple factors which leads to the fact that this virus spreads so efficiently.
Okay, his name is Ravi. Ravi is joining us from one part of the city of Columbus. I'm going to take just one more question for you, Ravi. Then we'll continue tomorrow because, like I mentioned earlier on, this is going to be a daily broadcast just to make sure our people are informed and, of course, educated on this. So we understand that heat to a certain temperature kills the virus. Apart from heat, is there another thing that can kill it?
Honest, to be very sure, there have been lots of hype and there has been lots of misconceptions about the temperature killing virus, saying that when the summer will come, the virus will be killed, or in the hot countries like India or Africa, so there won't be the virus infection or something like that. But from scientific point of view, it is not true. So, and so when you talk about the temperature, there has been certain findings that the WHO has given. For example, usually these virus can stay alive up to 21 days at 4 degrees centigrade or even at the lower temperature. And it can stay alive at 2 days. So when you talk about the heat, if you want to kill a virus, or if you want to eradicate all the virus, then you have to expose the virus at 56 degrees centigrade for 30 minutes. So you can understand that 56 degrees centigrade is never going to be attained on the Earth's surface, whether it's Africa or whether it's India or whether it's all the equatorial region. So that's one aspect. But other than that, you can easily say, we know, all of us know that there is a very easy way to kill this virus. So if you use soap and water, if you rinse with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, the virus would be killed. Apart from that, a normal bleach, so that's called 10% bleach, which you usually find it in the cleaning compounds in the market. Usually you see it 10% bleach or any alcohol substances which has more than 65% of proportion of alcohol, it can kill the virus, which can be either antiseptic or which can be like 70% alcohol. It all kills the virus.
Thank you, Ravi. We'll have you back tomorrow for a continuation of this discussion. It's going to be a daily show just to update our listeners on what everything is going on. Do have a fantastic rest of the day. Stay safe.
Thank you, Ernest, and thank you for having me here. You too have a good evening.
to the studio of FX1 Radio. You're listening there to Samba Mapangala. The music has brought the time to 1 minute to 8 here in the studio. And of course, you're listening to the first edition of Kickback COVID-19. It is a daily show that will be updating you on the developments on this current health scare. And of course, it's going to contribute in the education of our people out there on just how they can prevent this virus from spreading further. Joining us from one part of the city of Columbus is Mayo Makinde. Mayo Makinde is a politician, candidate for the Ohio 5th Congressional District. He now joins us on the show. Makinde, welcome.
Yeah, Maya, how you doing? My name is Mayo Makinde. How you doing, Ernest? How you doing, Apex Radio? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. We thank God, except for the fact that we are all into this difficult moment. So, tell me, how are you and how is your constituency doing?
Well, I'm actually doing good. Not at the best today. I'm actually dealing with some of my own minor health issue as well. So I've been self-quarantining myself for the last 2 weeks now, and I'm on the tail end of it since we're supposed to be in the house for 14 days. Mm-hmm. But one thing I don't know, too many people don't know that I didn't make that public, but but now it is, and I'm fine with it. Since I know I'm really feeling a whole lot better, and if anything that might have reached me has peaked already. And it's on the downfall. So, but definitely, I'm doing well. I have a lot of supporters, a lot of people who are in the community who have reached out, and I've told them personally, I know that this thing is scaring a lot of people, and rightfully so, because it is dangerous. It's killed 2 of my fraternity brothers across the nation, one in New York and the other one in Michigan. So I take it serious as much as I can. I thank Governor DeWine for taking it serious enough to start all the measures that he had put in place already, and the health general here in Ohio as well, who's working with Governor DeWine. One of the things I'm concerned about is the process in which he did. Of course, hopefully I join the legislature next year. We can talk about that in the future, about a day or so before election, shutting down election the day before election is not the right process, because it's almost going against the Ohio Constitution. This is something that was supposed to be done by the legislature, and they could have done it a week or 2 weeks ahead of time. We knew how serious this thing was. So those are some of the concerns I have. I'm also concerned about folks, elderly folks, and making sure that folks take this serious so that it does not turn into fatalities in our communities. It's turned to some fatalities already. We don't want more. We want to limit the fatalities in our community when it comes to this coronavirus. Then,
Makinde, tell me, how has this current situation affected your campaign and your politics?
It has affected my campaign, because my campaign was built on it, and it continues to be built on public respect and equality. And when it comes to public respect, part of our game plan from day one is to knock on people's doors and meet them, to have conversations with them. We are in front of 2,500 doors or more already. When we stopped our campaign, our goal was to get in front of 5,000. So, at the moment when we stopped reaching folks by talking to them at the doors, it kind of we had to change our strategy, so to speak, more to online and maybe on the phone and texting people. So we are coming up with different strategies as we go on, and the days are counting. So we're reaching out to folks, let folks know that if you know about our campaign, you need to become an ambassador for our campaign. You need to find a way to contact us and join us, and find out from us how you can help us get the word out there. And we believe that if one of the good things about this extension is it gives people more chances to look at the race. And if people are looking at the race and they look at the 5 and soon to be 4 candidates in the race, and when they look at those candidates, they can easily tell what the difference is, who has the most accomplishment, who's done the most work, and who will do the most work for them. So we're appreciative of the fact that we have given a little more time to do more research And people can do a research because they have time in their hands now. Everybody has a lot of time to stay at home. So, while they're at home, they can do a little more research on who are these guys that want to represent me in the State House. And the more they do the research, and we believe is very clear, the difference is very clear within us and our opponents. So that's the upside too. The downside is the fact that everybody has budgeted a certain amount of money to spend. Everybody has done all kinds of stuff, and there's campaign fatigue among staff and volunteers as well. So all that comes into play, and you kind of have to re-wake everybody up. So that is some of the negative side of it. But we know everybody's affected, so we just plug them through.
All right. My last question would be this. I understand that there has been communication going on regardless through phone communication and other means. I know people are not meeting each other physically. You've been talking to your people and they've been talking to you. What have you been telling them and what are they telling you?
Well, people are excited. People have been saying that, they know and see what we're doing out there. They feel optimistic about the result. People are more afraid again about the coronavirus and how it would affect their health. And also people are afraid about the fact that our main system, which is to reach people and knock on their doors and talk to them about face-to-face, that has been taken away now. So we have to find other ways. We have to start find a way with the ambassadorship program. We have an ambassadorship program where we have people doing video messages and trying to make sure that people let other friends of theirs know that they've known us. They know the work that we've done, and they point out the work that they know. Mm-hmm. And we're starting a campaign around that as well. So if anybody is on there listening to that, you see any of those videos, share those videos with your friend. We want to get the word out there. We believe in the idea of 6 degrees of separation. That everybody knows 6 people that knows another 6 people that knows so on and so on. And before you know, you touch somebody back, and it comes back to you. So that's the idea, that we're trying to put that out there so people can tell their friends and their neighbors that they know of a guy named Mayor McKinley, and they know the work that he's done in our community and how good he will be for our community. So that's what we're pushing on to the message, to a message to go out there and come back home for us to win.
Makinde, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Hopefully we'll come back to you as time goes on. We wish you the best, and we are all wishing that this current problem should become a thing of the past. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and look forward to, we're going to be sending a press release out tonight or tomorrow morning as we have a major break in the campaign announcement to make within the next 24 hours. Look out for it. Look forward to seeing you guys at our press conference on Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock. But look out for the press releases. We're coming out soon.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thanks so much.
So it started in China sometimes around November of 2019 and crossed over gradually to other parts of the world. Italy got really hit, and of course just when it was thought that this virus was going to be contained in the few places where it had touched, no, the virus continued going viral until it got to Africa. And even when it was thought that the virus could not survive there, it's also been causing havoc in Africa as well. Of course, it's been a big problem on the continent, and governments have been mobilizing all efforts to try to fight it. So what is the situation in Africa's big biggest economy. We're talking about Nigeria. How have Nigeria and Nigerians been combating this current health scare? Ayo Akinoli is a broadcaster on Apex One Radio. He doubles as a Nigerian, and he's been following up developments in his country while in the United States. He now joins us to explain more. Ayo, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity for being part of the show. Thank you so much.
How are you doing, Ayo?
I'm doing great. It can be a little bit better. But I can tell you I'm doing great. It's a beautiful weather in Columbus, Ohio today. So I'm just enjoying the weather, spending some time with the family. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have to stay at home. So, there's nothing really too much to do,
Right. If you are staying at home in the United States of America, we are assuming that it is also the case in Nigeria. Have Nigerians been asked to stay at home, Ayo?
Yes. There's a total, there's a lockdown in some states. And the president is actually proposing a stricter lockdown. Right now, there's been some restrictions when it comes to gatherings. Most churches and mosques cannot, entertain their congregation at the moment. And big parties cannot hold at the moment. And different states, especially Lagos, some states are being hit harder than some other states. And states like Lagos State are coming up with stricter measures. There's already a lockdown right now, but the state governor is contemplating a stricter one, maybe a 12 hours or 24 hours, curfew or lockdown or something, because the case keeps getting worse in Nigeria. Right now we have 111 people that have been infected so far. And this is actually expected to grow more than this. It's unfortunate. The government, as it is right now, I think they're doing all they can to curtail, the spread. But unfortunately, I think they had it a little bit too late. So it's going to be a tough one.
And talking about what the government is doing, we've seen pictures of isolation centers in, I think, Lagos that are being prepared in case they get more people who are sick. Then they can contain them in those centers. But again, there's been a lot of complaints across the continent, in other countries of Africa, not just Nigeria, that the people are not heeding to the call of the government to stay at home. We still find people moving around, people going to markets and so on. What is the situation in Nigeria? Is it a partial lockdown or a total lockdown?
Like I said earlier, it's a partial lockdown in most of the states, but they are contemplating a total lockdown, a stricter. Like you said, people are not abiding by the rules, and it's not just their fault. One of the reasons why I faulted the government earlier on was because I thought the government could have done a little bit more sensitization and national orientation before the case got a little bit worse. But the government did not really do that. So, most people are still kind of wondering why should we stay at home, and this is one of the problems we have in Nigeria, and I'm sure in Africa in general. When you look at Mali still went on and hold their general election, despite the fact that they know what's going on, despite the fact that they know that this disease is so contagious, despite the fact that they know that social distancing is so important right now. But like I said, they still went ahead and conducted the election. The same thing in Nigeria. The federal government has constituted a task force that's actually going around shutting down churches, business, big business entities, and other unauthorized gatherings for now, because the key right now is social distancing, and I think the government should actually do more in educating the people about the importance of avoiding large gatherings as such right now.
Ayo, my last question would be this. Remember, you and I had a conversation on radio, I think a couple of weeks ago, when we talked about this, and I mentioned that Nigeria was really smart in fighting Ebola. It attempted to get into Nigeria, but not long had it been announced that Nigeria kicked Ebola out of that country. We were also speculating that it was going to be the case with the coronavirus, but it has not been the case. So what do you think has been the problem? Is the corona thing that difficult to handle, just the way Nigeria handled Ebola?
No, I think it has. Like I said, I think it has to do with the government preparations. That when Jonathan was president, the government was properly prepared for the epidemic. Then, the pandemic. Then, the government was properly prepared. There was enough sensitization. And so people knew what was coming. And when it came, they were well equipped, both intellectually and physically, to handle the situation. This time around, the situation is not the case. I think this government hasn't done enough in preparing it. I actually fault the government in allowing the disease to spread in Nigeria, because they knew about this. They knew about it. There was steps that I thought they could have taken to avoid this catastrophe, but they actually delayed in taking those steps. And unfortunately, we have Nigerians infected with these diseases right now. And unfortunately, too, they do not have enough equipment to actually test and actually admit and treat patients yet. It's sad for me to announce to you, Mr. Ennis, that the federal government of Nigeria hasn't done enough, and they are not doing enough. The Lagos state government on its own has been able to take some drastic steps, some good initiatives in establishing treatment centers and equipping themselves with ventilators and all that medical equipment that is going to be needed to fight this bad disease. But I think, like I said, the government, the federal government, needs to do more. As we talk right now, there are speculations that the president is not in Nigeria. As we speak, there are speculations. I'm not sure about that. The chief of staff to the president has already been infected. We have governors, political office holders that have already been infected. We have celebrities that have already been infected by the disease. It's a horrible situation right now. We just pray that it doesn't get worse than this. But I think the government can do a little bit better, providing all the necessary things needed, and they need to continue to sensitize the people. The enforcement is not just going to work. We need to educate the people. When we look at the literacy rate in Nigeria, it's high. So they need to come down to these people's level and explain to them the reason why they need to do some things and obey by the rules and regulations right now. That's the only way we can fight this pandemic.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ayo. You are going to keep an eye on Nigeria. We'll come back to you tomorrow to continue the story. So you stay safe, Ayo.
Thank you so much, and you too, sir. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Mack, and this is my cover of Mel. I've told before, I wanna hibernate. I wanna go back home. My inspiration came from mainly the local news and what my friends talk about on a daily basis and what we complain about. Everyone was feeling really down at the moment, so I really wanted to sing something.
Beautiful music there by Organic Koala. Music was by the time to 18 minutes past 8 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. We have just a few minutes to run off this first edition of Kickback COVID-19, reaching you live from the studio of Apex One Radio. And you must have noticed that we're doing a social distancing show with our reporters and, of course, our team spread across the city and across the world. Joining us from one part of Columbus is Emmanuel Paye, who doubles as broadcaster on Apex One Radio. Emmanuel is from Liberia, and while in the United States, he's been following up what has been going on back there as far as this health scare is concerned. Emmanuel, welcome to the show.
Hey Ernest, how you doing today?
I'm good, Emmanuel. We thank God. And you?
I'm good. I'm speaking from the east side. First of all, I want to commend the entire Apex One team and yourself taking the lead as the CEO, to bring us back on the air. It's been a long time. With all these virus issue going on, I'm happy that we are trying to at least maintain social distancing at the same time informing our audience.
That's beautiful. Okay, so Emmanuel, we'll find time to talk about what is happening in the United States. But with you today, I would like us to look at the situation in Liberia. And I know Liberia has experienced this before. This is not the first time. But first, what is the situation in Liberia?
At this current moment, actually, Liberia is not considered. They have been affected with the virus. Have been discovered there. We have a government official who traveled to Switzerland who also was infected. But the strategy at this point, they are doing a great job. Actually, I must admit, especially evaluating people at the airport when you come in. Like other officials who are travel or who left the country before the concept the hotspot of the Ebola in Europe. When they come by, they go through a process of training. And then they also get themselves quarantined. Other places like there was another official by the name of Elvis Snow who came from Nigeria. At the time when he left Nigeria, it was just about 5 cases actually 9 cases in Nigeria. But when he came out of Liberia, he went through a process where he's currently self-quarantined in his house. So I know we have gone through the Ebola process. We learned a lot from there. The government is currently doing a great job. Accumulating the best resources and the best information out there. To actually combat this particular pandemic.
Right. Now, we understand the government is doing a great job, just like other governments around the world. And the watchword has been that people should stay at home to avoid spreading the virus or to prevent further spread of it. Tell me, have the people of Liberia been respecting this government call? I watched somewhere on Facebook how some Liberians had gathered and were praying, and despite police intervention, that didn't stop them from praying against the virus. Just how much of this kind of behavior we are noticing in that country?
Yes, there have been a struggle, actually. There have been a struggle, but there have been a mandate out there, especially when it comes to churches, mosques and everything, to, be close. Even one of the senator, named Prince Johnson, the commissioner of police actually went into his church, to confront him to close down his church, in which he reluctantly agreed to do that. But for the most part, it is happening, actually. People actually are obeying because, like I said, Ebola hit Liberia very, very hard. So this particular disease is actually a great awareness for other Liberians who actually went through the struggle of Ebola or the experience of Ebola. So there are a lot of Liberians who are actually complying and listening to the government, mandate.
Okay, and as far as the government is concerned, do you think that Liberia is going to be able to handle this crisis? I know it involves a lot of resources to be able to handle it. This could be different from the Ebola, the way it is actually presenting itself. So do you think that if this continues, the Liberian government will be able to handle it? Otherwise, is the government of Liberia canvassing support from other organizations or other governments around the world?
To be honest, it's a very scary to have that thought, because I don't really think that the government is prepared to handle this particular, when you go become worse. But I think the early intervention has helped a lot. Will help a lot. Moving forward. Just as the previous caller said, this particular disease is not like Ebola. Ebola pretty much was easily transmitted through like body contact, and fluid contact. But this particular one is airborne. So to control is even more difficult, to actually control this particular virus. So, but like I said, we were already hit hard, from the Ebola. There are other Liberians who are actually they have learned from the horror of Ebola, so they are in compliance. I know there are other people, like everywhere, other people will be in non-compliance or try not to obey the authority. But I hope, like you say, I hope not, in a situation where this case could be worse in Liberia, because it's going to be a disaster.
Emmanuel, I want to thank you so much. We'll have so much to talk about. The show will continue tomorrow, and every day we'll come and spend a few minutes to update people. There's so much about Liberia to talk about. We will continue in the next edition. So thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
All right, thank you, Ernest. Thank you.
You have a fantastic rest of the day and stay safe.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, that is how we are going to put a full stop on this first edition of Kickback COVID-19 on Apex One Radio. We actually planned just to have the show run for 30 to 45 minutes, but we've had it for over 66 minutes. So every day we're going to do a few minutes of this just to make sure that our listeners are informed about what is going on and also educated. Talking about education, we are going to have a lot of experts who will be telling us more about this virus and how we can prevent it. But for now, just follow the basic prevention rules. Hand washing. Use 20 or more seconds to wash your hands with soap under flowing water. If there's no water around at the time you're doing whatever thing you're doing, use hand sanitizers. But after doing that, the next clean water and soap you meet, wash your hands. Wash your hands as many times as possible in a day. If you're washing your hands 100 times, do that. The virus would definitely live on hard surfaces. We're told that it can live on a hard surface for as long as 8 days. 5 to 8 days. On some surfaces, some 3-4 days. That is too bad. So clean your surfaces. Disinfect your surfaces. Right? When you are sneezing or coughing, which are some of the symptoms of the virus, do that, in your arm so that it doesn't spread. Also, exercise what they call social distancing. Practice social distancing. We know, especially as Africans, we are social people. We want to come together. We want to do stuff together. We want to party, dance, hug each other. We just can't do that now. To save ourselves, we just can't do that now. So let's keep the distance for now, at least. Then, when the disease is finally gone, when the virus is finally gone, then we can resume normal life. But again, there are a lot of lessons that are going to be learned after COVID-19. Hopefully, COVID-19 becomes a thing of the past soonest. My name is Ernest Kanji. Maxel Adit was the producer of this show. Thank you so much, Ayo Akinoli. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Okon. Thank you, Emmanuel Peye. We had Mayo Makinde, who also joined us on the show. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to announce the time when we'll be back tomorrow on the airways. For now, stay safe and, of course, keep following those preventive measures. May God bless you and to have a fantastic rest of the weekend.